The highway stretched out like a scar across the New Mexico desert. Endless, black, empty under a moonless sky. 11:45 p.m. Most people were home, asleep, safe behind locked doors in houses that smelled like coffee and old photographs. Evelyn Brennan wasn't most people. She'd been driving for 16 hours
Đúng
straight.
rồi, mày mà lái được
Her
xe mày
hands
có phép
gripped the
màu.
wheel
Thôi
of the
đi, hai người đừng có
Peterbilt
mà chọc quê nhau.
379 like it was the only solid thing
Hold
left in the
still.
world.
I'm almost done.
White
Stings
knuckles,
like hell.
calloused
That
palms,
should hold until we get
hands
back.
that had held dying men in the Iraqi desert and newborn babies in American hospitals, and everything in between. The truck's engine rumbled beneath her, 40 tons of steel and cargo moving at 70 miles per hour through darkness. The radio played something old, Waylon Jennings, a song about roads and regrets. She didn't sing along. Her phone sat in the cup holder, silent now, but she could still hear the voice from 3 hours ago, distorted, cold. The kind of voice that belonged to men who hurt people for money. Mrs. Brennan, Clayton is with us. She'd almost driven off the road when she heard those words. Her son, 19 years old. Dark hair like his father. Same stubborn jaw. Same eyes that looked at her like she'd failed somehow. Like she hadn't done enough. Like she could have saved his father if she'd just been better, faster, more. The tears came without permission. She wiped them away with the back of her hand. No time for that. No time for breaking down on a highway in the middle of nowhere with her son's life hanging in the balance. You want him back, you do exactly what we say. She'd do anything, kill, lie, drive this truck straight into hell if that's what it took. That's what mothers did. The headlights caught something up ahead. Movement, vehicles. Her stomach dropped. 3 SUVs, black, no plates visible, positioned across both lanes like a roadblock, like they'd been waiting. Her foot moved toward the brake, then stopped. If she ran, they'd know. If she tried to turn around, they'd follow. If she called the cops, one wrong move, your son disappears. She slowed. The truck's air brakes hissed like a warning, like the sound of bad decisions being made in real time. The SUVs didn't move. She stopped 50 feet away, engine idling, heart hammering against her ribs. The driver's side doors opened. 1, 2, 3. Men stepped out. 8 of them, maybe more. Hard to tell in the darkness, but she could see enough. Tactical pants, heavy boots, the outline of weapons under jackets. This wasn't random. This was planned. One man walked forward. Tall, broad shoulders, Hispanic features, maybe 45. He moved like someone who'd done this before, like violence was just another Tuesday. He stopped at her door, knocked on the window with knuckles that had broken noses and jaws, and probably worse. She cracked it. 2 inches. Mrs. Brennan. His voice was smooth, almost polite. That made it worse somehow. I'm Duke, we spoke earlier. Where's my son? Safe, for now. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. But we need to talk about the arrangement. The deal was I pick up the package at mile marker 285. I'm heading there now. Deal changed. He gestured to the SUVs. We need you and the truck right now. Her throat tightened. That wasn't, I don't care what it was. His voice hardened. Get out of the truck or we drag you out. Your choice. One of the other men moved toward her door, reached for the handle. Her hand went to the glove compartment. There was a knife in there. Small, but sharp enough. Not enough. Not against 8 men with guns. She was going to die here. On this highway. And Clayton. The sound came from nowhere and everywhere at once. A motorcycle engine. Deep. Guttural. The kind of sound that made your chest vibrate. Headlight pierced the darkness behind the SUVs. Single beam, cutting through the night like a warning shot. The men turned, hands moving to weapons. The motorcycle didn't slow down. It came at them like a bullet, like something wild and angry and absolutely done with the world's bullshit. 70 miles per hour, 60, 50. Duke shouted something. His men scattered. The bike shot through the gap between 2 SUVs, close enough to clip mirrors, close enough to feel the heat of the engine. And then it was turning, spinning. The rear tire kicking up gravel and dust. The rider wore black. Leather jacket weathered by decades of road rash and rain. Boots that had kicked in doors and faces. No helmet. Just gray hair and a beard that had gone silver somewhere around the second Iraq deployment. He was older, 60-something, but he moved like time hadn't touched the parts that mattered. The bike stopped between Evelyn's truck and the SUVs. The rider dismounted. Slow, deliberate, like he had all the time in the world. Duke pulled a gun. Old man, you picked the wrong night to play hero. The rider didn't respond, just stood there, hands at his sides, eyes scanning the group, counting, calculating. One of Duke's men rushed him. Mistake. The rider moved, fast, too fast for a man his age. His fist caught the attacker in the throat. A choking sound. The man dropped. Two more came. The rider ducked a punch, drove his elbow into the second man's ribs. Sound of bone cracking, then grabbed the first man's head and slammed it into his knee. The attacker went down like a puppet with cut strings. 12 seconds. 3 men on the ground. Duke raised his gun, pointed it at the rider's chest. You got 3 seconds before I put a bullet in you. The rider turned, looked at Duke, really looked at him. His eyes were blue, the kind of blue that had seen war zones and funeral homes and midnight highways where bad men did worse things. Eyes that didn't blink, didn't flinch. He spoke for the first time, voice like gravel on asphalt. You got 3 seconds to get back in your vehicle and leave. 1. Duke laughed, nervous. You think you can? 2. The other men raised their weapons. 5 guns, all pointed at the rider. He didn't move. 3. The rider's hands shot out, fast, grabbed Duke's wrist, twisted. The gun fell. Before it hit the ground, the rider had Duke by the throat, lifted him, slammed him against the nearest SUV. Duke's face went red, then purple. I said leave. The rider released him. Duke collapsed, gasping, coughing. The other men hesitated, guns still raised, but their hands were shaking now. Get him out of here, one of them said. This is done. They grabbed Duke, pulled him toward an SUV. Engine started, tires spun. 30 seconds later, the highway was empty again. Just Evelyn's truck, the motorcycle, and the rider standing in the middle of the road like a ghost made solid. Evelyn climbed out of the truck. Her legs barely held her. Adrenaline crash hitting hard. Thank you. I don't know how to... Lock your doors. The rider turned toward his bike. Get off this highway. The wind picked up. Desert wind. The kind that carried sand and secrets. Something flew from Evelyn's jacket pocket. A piece of fabric. Red. Faded. The rider caught it midair. Reflex. Muscle memory from catching grenades and babies and everything in between. He looked at it. Froze. The fabric was a bandana. Old. Military issue. Stained with something that might have been blood once. Embroidered in the corner, 82nd Airborne Medic Unit. His hands started shaking. Where did you get this? Evelyn looked at him. Really looked. Past the beard and the road dust in the years. It's mine from when I served. Why, the rider's voice changed. Softer now, almost broken. Iraq, 2005. Fob Rustamia, February 14th. Valentine's Day. Insurgent attack. Mortar rounds. I took shrapnel. Right here. He touched his left shoulder. Arterial bleed. A medic worked on me for 40 minutes. Kept me talking. Kept me alive. She wore this. Evelyn's breath caught. Her hand went to her mouth. What was your name, your rank? Staff Sergeant Garrett Kane. 75th Rangers. The desert spun. The highway tilted. 21 years collapsed into seconds. Kane. Oh my God, I remember you. You were the ranger with the shoulder wound. You kept asking about someone named Lily. My wife. Garrett's voice cracked. I thought I'd never see her again. I told you. Evelyn's voice shook. I told you you'd make it. I promised. You did. Garrett reached inside his leather jacket, pulled out a chain. On it hung a dog tag. Not his. Someone else's. He held it out. The tag read, Brennan E. O'Neg. Evelyn took it. Her fingers trembled. The metal was warm from being against his chest, against his heart. You dropped it that night. It was covered in my blood. I kept it. Thought maybe someday I'd find you. Return it. Say thank you. Evelyn couldn't speak. The tears came. Different tears now. Not fear, not grief. Something else. Recognition. Connection. The kind of bond that forms when you hold someone's life in your hands and refuse to let go. Your husband, Garrett said quietly. The other tag said Jack Brennan. He was in my unit. He talked about you every night. Showed everyone pictures of you and the baby. Said you were the strongest person he ever met. Evelyn's face went pale. Jack, you knew Jack. He was my brother, not by blood, but by everything that matters. The wind died. The desert went silent. Even the highway seemed to hold its breath. Jack died 3 weeks after you were wounded. Ambush. He didn't make it to the medic tent. Garrett closed his eyes. Pain crossed his face. Old pain. The kind that never really heals. I know. I tried to find him after I recovered. They told me. I'm sorry. He was one of the best men I ever knew. That baby he showed you pictures of? He's 19 now. His name is Clayton. Evelyn's voice hardened. And the men you just chased off? They have him. They're going to kill him if I don't do what they say. Garrett opened his eyes. The pain was gone, replaced by something colder, harder. No, they won't. You don't understand. They said, I understand perfectly. Garrett walked to his bike, started the engine. The rumble filled the empty highway. You saved my life 21 years ago. Jack was my brother. That makes Clayton family, and I don't abandon family. Why would you help me? You don't owe me anything. Garrett looked at her. Really looked. The way he'd looked at Duke. The way he'd look at anyone who stood between him and doing what was right. Yes, I do. 48 hours earlier, the sun rose over Lubbock, Texas like it had something to prove. Red, angry, the kind of sunrise that promised heat and dust and regret. Garrett Kane sat in the parking lot of the Hells Angels Clubhouse, West Texas chapter, a squat brick building that had seen better days and worse nights. Motorcycles lined up outside like soldiers at attention. Harleys mostly. A few Triumphs, one Indian that belonged to a prospect who'd probably wash out before summer. The clubhouse door opened. A man stepped out, older than Garrett, maybe 70. Lean, bald head tattooed with scripture and symbols. He wore a leather vest covered in patches. Club colors, 35 years worth of road and loyalty. Winston Calloway, wrench to anyone who'd earned the right to use the name. Vice President, Garrett's right hand for 3 decades. The only man alive who could tell Garrett he was being an idiot and live to see morning. Wrench walked over, sat on the curb next to Garrett's bike. You heading out? Yeah, need to clear my head. Long ride or short? Don't know yet. Wrench pulled out a cigarette, lit it, took a drag. His hands shook a little, age or something else. I need a favor. Garrett waited. My granddaughter, Stella, 18, she's been missing 2 weeks. Garrett's jaw tightened. Cops? Useless. Say she ran off with some boyfriend. But I know my girl. She called me every Sunday. Never missed. 2 Sundays now. No call, no text, nothing. What do you need? Wrench pulled out a folder. Dropped it on the bike seat. Inside were photos. A young woman, blonde, smiling. The kind of smile that didn't know the world could hurt yet. Intel from the Diablos chapter in New Mexico. They're seeing the same thing. Young women, disappearing. Same profile, no strong family, no one to notice right away. Trafficking. That's the word, using the I-40 corridor, New Mexico to the Texas border. I got a name. Duke Martinez, ex-military, runs security for something bigger. Garrett picked up the folder, looked at Stella's photo. When do you need me to leave? Wrench's voice cracked. Just a little. Just enough. Brother, I wouldn't ask if I had anyone else. But Stella's all I got left. Her mom's gone. Her dad's in prison. I'm the only family she knows, and I can't lose her. Garrett stood. Put the folder in his jacket. You won't. I'll find her. This ain't club business, Reap. This is personal. You don't owe me. Garrett cut him off. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight, the kind of weight that comes from keeping promises in war zones and hospital rooms and midnight highways. Wrench, 2019. Your wife died, cancer. You sat with her for 3 days. Didn't eat, didn't sleep. Just held her hand. I sat with you. You remember what you said to me? Wrench looked away. I said you were the only brother I had left. And I said I'd be there. For anything, anytime. That wasn't just words. You need your granddaughter found, I'll find her. You need someone buried in the desert. I'll bring a shovel. That's what brothers do. Wrench stood, extended his hand. Garrett took it. They didn't hug, didn't need to. Some bonds run deeper than gestures. Be careful, Reap. These ain't street punks. This is organized, professional. I know. You need backup. No, I go alone. If things get ugly, I don't want the club exposed. Wrench nodded, understanding. That was the thing about being president. You carried the weight so your brothers didn't have to. Garrett straddled his bike. A 1998 Heritage Softail, black, chrome, maintained like a religion. The engine turned over. That beautiful Harley rumble. He pulled out of the parking lot, headed west on Route 66, the old highway, the one that didn't care about speed limits or modern conveniences. Just asphalt and horizon, and the promise that if you rode far enough, you'd find what you were looking for, or it would find you. 300 miles away, Evelyn Brennan stood in a truck stop parking lot outside Oklahoma City, the Flying J. 24-hour gas station and convenience store that smelled like diesel fuel in desperation. Her Peterbilt sat at pump 7. She just finished fueling. 42 gallons, $216. Another expense in a life full of them. She walked inside to pay. The cashier was young, maybe 22. Tattooed arms, bored expression. The kind of boredom that comes from spending 8 hours watching people buy cigarettes and lottery tickets. Pump 7, and a coffee. Large, black. The cashier rang it up. 228. Evelyn handed over her card, waited. Her phone rang. Clayton. She answered. Hey, baby. Ma, I'm staying at Derek's tonight. Don't wait up. Her stomach tightened. Clay, you said that 3 nights this week? What's going on? Nothing. I'm 19. I can do what I want. Your father would. Dad's dead, Ma. His voice went hard, sharp, like a slap across the face. You were there. You're a medic. You couldn't save him. So don't talk to me about what he'd want. The line went dead. Evelyn stood there, phone in hand. The cashier pretended not to notice. She paid, took her coffee, walked back to the truck, sat in the driver's seat, didn't start the engine, just sat there, alone, in a parking lot, surrounded by strangers who didn't know her name or her story, or the fact that she'd held her husband's dog tags in her hands while a chaplain told her he died a hero. Heroes didn't come home. That's what made them heroes. She pulled out a small box from the glove compartment. Inside were things she kept close, things that mattered. A wedding ring. Too small now. She'd gained weight, lost weight, gained it back. The ring didn't fit anymore, but she kept it anyway. A photo, Jack in uniform, smiling, young. God, they'd both been so young. 20 years old and married and convinced they'd live forever. In a red bandana. Faded, stained. The one she'd worn in Iraq. The one that had soaked up blood from soldiers whose names she couldn't remember and faces that still visited her dreams. She pressed the bandana to her face. It didn't smell like anything anymore. Just fabric. But once it had smelled like sand and sweat and the metallic tang of combat medicine. Her phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. She opened it. A photo. Clayton. Her son. Hands zip-tied behind his back. Mouth gagged. Eyes wide with fear. Below the photo, we'll be in touch. The coffee spilled. Hot liquid spread across her lap. She didn't feel it. All she felt was cold. Garrett rode through the night, the highway unspooled beneath him like a ribbon of broken promises. He'd been riding for 6 hours. No stops except for gas. The desert stretched out on either side. Empty. Beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with comfort. Beauty that came from endurance. From surviving when everything said you shouldn't. His phone buzzed. He pulled over, checked it. Message from Wrench. Intel update. Duke Martinez last seen near Albuquerque. Warehouse district. Possible holding location. Garrett typed back. On it. Another message. Reap, be careful. These guys are connected. Cops, politicians. You go after them alone, you might not come back. Garrett didn't respond to that one. He'd been going places he might not come back from since he was 22 years old. Baghdad, Fallujah, Helmand Province. The difference between then and now was simple. Back then, he had orders. Now he had a choice. He chose this. He got back on the bike, opened the throttle. The speedometer climbed, 80, 90, 100. The wind tried to rip him off the bike. He leaned into it, became part of the machine, part of the road. His mind drifted. Iraq, always Iraq. Some men came home and left it behind. Garrett never figured out how. He remembered the night he almost died. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Ironic. The kind of irony that makes you believe the universe has a sick sense of humor. They'd been on patrol, routine, or as routine as anything gets in a war zone. His unit, Jack Brennan, Maxwell Frost, Vincent Hale, 4 Rangers, brothers. The mortars came out of nowhere. First one hit 50 meters away, second one closer, third one close enough to feel the heat. Fourth one was the one that mattered. Shrapnel tore through his shoulder, just missed the artery. Just the difference between bleeding out in 3 minutes or 30. He remembered hitting the ground, remembered the taste of sand and blood, remembered someone screaming, might have been him, and then there were hands, gloved hands, a voice. Stay with me, soldier. I need you to stay with me. A woman's voice, calm, professional. The kind of calm that comes from practice, from doing this over and over until panic becomes impossible. What's your name? Kane. Garrett Kane. Okay, Garrett, I'm Evelyn. I'm a medic. You're going to be fine, but I need you to keep talking to me. My wife, Lily, she's waiting for me. I need to, I need to get home. You will, I promise. But right now, I need you to tell me about her. What's she like? He talked about Lily, about the house they were buying, about the life they were building together. He talked for 40 minutes. While Evelyn worked, while she kept pressure on the wound, while she radioed for medevac, while she refused to let him die. The helicopter came. They loaded him up. He remembered looking back, seeing her, blood on her uniform, his blood, and that red bandana tied around her arm. The last thing she said, "You'll make it, soldier, I promise." He did make it, but Jack didn't. 3 weeks later, different patrol, same desert, different ending, ambush, coordinated, like someone had given the insurgents their route, their timing, everything. Jack took rounds to the chest, died before the medics arrived. Garrett was still recovering, couldn't be there, couldn't say goodbye. He attended the funeral 2 months later, stateside, Arlington National Cemetery. Full honors. He met Jack's wife, Evelyn. She held a baby, 6 months old. Clayton. They didn't talk much. What was there to say? Sorry your husband died while I was in a hospital bed. Sorry I survived and he didn't. He handed her Jack's dog tags, the ones he'd kept. She took them, thanked him, turned away. He never saw her again. Until tonight. Garrett pulled over again, reached inside his jacket. The dog tag was still there. Brennan E. Oneg. He'd carried it for 21 years, a reminder, a debt, a promise he didn't know how to keep. Now he did. Evelyn didn't sleep that night. She sat in her truck, engine off, phone in her hand. At 2:30 a.m. it rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello, Mrs. Brennan. The voice was distorted, electronic. You received the photo? Yes. Good. Here's what happens next. Tomorrow night, 11 p.m., mile marker 285 on Interstate 40. A vehicle will meet you. They'll load a package into your trailer. You drive it to El Paso. The address will be sent when you're close. No stops, no police, no tricks. What's in the package? That's not your concern. And Clayton, when do I get him back? When the package arrives in El Paso, undamaged. You do this right, your son comes home. You do it wrong. The line went dead. Evelyn sat there, trembling. Not from fear, from rage. These men had taken her son, threatened his life, tried to turn her into an accomplice. She should call the police, the FBI, anyone. But Clayton's face in that photo, the fear in his eyes. She couldn't risk it. She started the engine, pulled out of the truck stop, headed west, toward the meeting point, toward whatever darkness waited at mile marker 285, toward Garrett Kane, though she didn't know it yet. The sun rose over Albuquerque. Garrett had been watching the warehouse for 3 hours, parked half a mile away. Binoculars, notepad, 3 black SUVs, same models as the ones he'd seen on the highway. 6 men, armed, professional movements, military training obvious in the way they carried themselves. This wasn't some street gang operation. This was organized, funded, protected. His phone buzzed. Wrench. Reap got more intel. That warehouse owned by a shell company traces back to someone named Vincent Hale. Garrett's blood went cold. Say that again. Vincent Hale, ring a bell. It did. It rang like church bells at a funeral. Vincent Hale, intelligence officer, at Garrett's unit, Iraq. The man who'd disappeared 3 weeks before Jack died. The man who'd been declared AWOL, deserted. The man Garrett always suspected sold them out. Wrench, I need you to dig deeper. Find everything on Hale, where he's been, what he's doing now, everything. Reap what's going on. Something that should have been handled 21 years ago. Garrett ended the call. Watch the warehouse. Vincent Hale, alive, here, running a trafficking operation. The universe's sense of humor wasn't just sick, it was downright sadistic. Garrett's hands tightened on the binoculars. Some debts took 21 years to pay, but they always came due. Always. The motel room smelled like cigarette smoke and broken promises. $50 a night, cash only. The kind of place that didn't ask questions and didn't remember faces. Garrett sat on the edge of the bed. Evelyn stood by the window. Neither had spoken for 5 minutes. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was full, heavy with things that needed to be said and things that never could be. Finally, Evelyn turned. I need to tell you everything. Garrett nodded. Waited. She sat in the chair across from him, her hands folded in her lap, the way nurses fold their hands when they're about to give bad news. The phone call, 3 days ago. A man, he didn't give his name, said they had Clayton, said if I wanted him back, I had to transport something. A package, from New Mexico to El Paso. No questions. No police. You have the recording? No. He called from a burner, told me to get rid of my phone after. Use a new one. I didn't. I couldn't. What if Clayton tried to call? Smart. They expected compliance. You gave them uncertainty. Garrett leaned forward. Did they say what was in the package? No, but I'm not stupid, Garrett. I know what gets transported in secret across borders. Drugs, guns, or people. Her face went pale. You think? I know. My friend Wrench. His granddaughter disappeared 2 weeks ago. 18 years old. Same area. Same MO. Young women. No strong family ties. They vanish. By the time anyone notices they're across the border, Mexico, then further south, they disappear into a system that doesn't want them found. Evelyn's voice dropped to a whisper. How many? Dozens, maybe hundreds. This isn't new. It's been running for years. But it's careful, professional. They choose victims nobody will fight for. But they chose Clayton, and I will fight. I know. Garrett stood. Walked to the window. The parking lot outside was empty except for his bike and her truck. 2 vehicles, 2 people, against an organization that had money and guns and no conscience. He'd faced worse odds, barely. There's something else, he said. The man running this operation, I know him. Evelyn stood. What? Vincent Hale. He was in my unit, Iraq, intelligence officer. Good at his job. Too good. He knew things. Routes, patrol schedules, safe houses. And Garrett turned to face her. His eyes were hard. The kind of hard that comes from carrying guilt for 2 decades. 3 weeks before Jack died, Vincent disappeared. Just vanished. The army declared him AWOL, then a deserter. They never found him, never found out why he left. You think he was working with the insurgents? I think he sold us out. I think he gave them our patrol routes, our timing, everything they needed to set up the perfect ambush. Evelyn's hand went to her mouth. Jack? I can't prove it. I never could. But the attack that killed Jacket was too precise. They knew exactly where we'd be, when we'd be there, how many of us. Vincent was the only one with that information. The room went quiet again. Different quiet this time, the kind that follows a revelation that changes everything you thought you knew. Why? Evelyn's voice shook. Why would he do that? Money. Same reason he's doing this now. Vincent always wanted more. Better gear, better life, better everything. The army didn't pay enough, so he found someone who would. And now he's trafficking people. Seems like the natural progression. Garrett's voice was bitter. Start by selling out your brothers, end by selling children. At least he's consistent. Evelyn sat back down. Her hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her thighs. Medic training. Control the shaking. Control the breathing. Control the panic. Clayton, does Vincent know who he is, who his father was? Garrett pulled out his phone. Opened the intel file Wrench had sent, photos, documents, financial records. I don't know, but I intend to find out. A knock at the door, 3 sharp raps. Garrett's hand went to the gun at his waist. Evelyn tensed. Reap, it's me. Garrett relaxed, opened the door. Winston Calloway stepped inside. Wrench, older than God and twice as stubborn. He wore his colors, Hell's Angels vest, patches from 35 years of riding, living, surviving. Behind him came 3 more men. Luther McKay, Bones, 65, 6'4", hands like sledgehammers. Enforcer, the man you sent when talking stopped working. Silas Reed, Prophet, 63, lean, quiet, tracker, could follow a trail through a rainstorm, had done it more than once. Tobias Cross, Hammer, 66, combat medic, Army, 2 tours. The real war, the one that still woke him up screaming 40 years later. Garrett looked at Wrench. I said I was going alone? Yeah, well, I'm old. I don't hear so good anymore. Wrench walked to the center of the room, looked at Evelyn. Ma'am, name's Winston Calloway. Friends call me Wrench. This is Bones, Prophet, and Hammer. We're here to help. Evelyn stood. I don't understand. This isn't your fight. Bones spoke, voice like gravel in a blender. Stella's my great niece. That makes it my fight. Prophet nodded. Angels take care of their own. Hammer set a medical bag on the table. And anyone who needs help, that's what we do. Garrett closed the door, looked at his brothers, these men who'd ridden with him through dust storms and bar fights and police raids, who'd stood at his wife's funeral, who'd kept him sane when sanity seemed like a luxury he couldn't afford. This is going to get ugly, Garrett said. Vincent's not running a street operation. He's connected. Cops, politicians, maybe worse. We go after him, we might not all come back. Wrench pulled out a cigarette, lit it, took a drag. Reap, Stella's all I got left. My daughter's dead. Son-in-law's in Huntsville doing 25 to life. That girl's the only family I got. You think I'm gonna sit home and let her disappear? Bones cracked his knuckles. Plus, I'm bored. Haven't hit anybody in 6 months. Doctor says it's bad for my blood pressure. Prophet smiled, rare for him. Could use the exercise. Hammer looked at Evelyn. Ma'am, I don't know you, but Garrett says you saved his life in Iraq. That means you're family, and we protect family. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Wrench walked to the window, looked out at the desert. Just tell us where your son is. We'll bring him home. Garrett spread a map on the bed. I-40, New Mexico, Texas, the corridor. Vincent's operating out of multiple locations. The warehouse in Albuquerque is one, probably a staging area. The kids get held there, then moved. My guess he's got a main compound somewhere near the border, El Paso area. That's where he'll keep high-value assets. Like Clayton, Evelyn said. Like Clayton. Prophet leaned over the map. That's a lot of ground to cover. How do we narrow it down? We don't. Garrett pointed to mile marker 285. We let them come to us. Tonight, 11 p.m. They're expecting Evelyn to be here, alone, in her truck, ready to pick up the package. But she won't be alone, Bones said. No, she'll have us. Wrench stubbed out his cigarette. So we ambush the ambush. Exactly. We take whoever shows up, get information, find the compound, go in hard. Hammer opened his medical bag. Inside were bandages, syringes, surgical tools, and a Glock 19. I'm a medic, he said, but I'm also a realist. Evelyn watched them plan. These men, these strangers who'd become allies in the space of 10 minutes. They moved with efficiency. No wasted words, no hesitation. They'd done this before. Maybe not this exactly, but something close enough. What do you need me to do? She asked. Garrett looked at her. Drive your truck to the meeting point. When they show up, you stall. Ask questions. Make them explain. Give us time to get into position. And if they get suspicious, they won't. You're a mother looking for her son. That's the most believable role in the world. She nodded. Okay, but after we get information, after we find the compound, I'm going in with you. Evelyn. No. Her voice was steel. Clayton is my son. I've been fighting for him since the day he was born. I'm not stopping now. You want to argue, fine. But you'll lose, Wrench laughed. I like her. Garrett sighed. Fine, but you follow orders. No heroics. Agreed. Agreed. They spent the next 6 hours preparing. Hammer checked weapons. Prophet scouted the meeting location. Bones and Wrench reviewed tactics. Garrett went over the plan. Again and again. Evelyn sat in her truck, tried to sleep. Couldn't. She kept thinking about Clayton, her baby, 19 years old. Not a baby anymore, but still hers. Still the boy who'd cried when he scraped his knee, who'd laughed at cartoons, who'd asked her why Daddy never came home. She'd told him the truth, as much as a 6-year-old could handle. Daddy was a hero. Daddy saved people. Daddy died doing what was right. Clayton had asked if heroes always died. She'd said no. Sometimes they lived, sometimes they came home. She'd lied. Heroes didn't come home. That's what made them heroes. But maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. Her phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number. Mile marker 285, 11 p.m., come alone. Last warning. She showed it to Garrett. He nodded. They're confirming. Good. Means they're committed. Or setting a trap. Probably both. He checked his watch. 6 hours. Get some rest. I can't. Try anyway. You'll need your strength. She closed her eyes. Didn't sleep. But she rested. That was something. At 10 p.m. they moved out. 5 motorcycles, 1 truck, rolling through the desert night like ghosts on wheels. The highway was empty. Most people were home, safe, unaware that 6 miles away a war was about to start. Garrett led, Wrench on his right, Bones on his left, Prophet and Hammer behind, Evelyn in her truck following at a distance. They reached mile marker 280, pulled off, killed the engines. Silence. Just wind and sand and the sound of men breathing. Garrett gathered them. Prophet, you're on overwatch. High ground. 300 yards out. You see anything we don't, you call it? Prophet nodded, grabbed his rifle. Disappeared into the darkness. Bones, Hammer, you're on the flanks. They show up with multiple vehicles, we box them in. No one leaves until we get answers. Copy. Wrench, you're with me. We stay close to Evelyn's truck. They make a move, we respond. What about me, Evelyn asked. You do exactly what you've been doing. Be scared, be desperate, be a mother who'll do anything to save her son, because that's the truth, and truth is always the most convincing lie. She nodded. They took positions, waiting, watching. 11 p.m. came, then went. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Garrett's radio crackled. Prophet's voice. Movement, 3 vehicles, 2 miles out, coming fast. Copy. Everyone hold position. The headlights appeared. 3 black SUVs, just like before. They slowed, stopped 50 yards from Evelyn's truck. Doors opened. 6 men stepped out, Duke Martinez in the lead. Evelyn climbed down from her truck, hands visible, no weapons. Duke walked forward, alone, confident. Mrs. Brennan, good to see you can follow simple instructions. Where's my son? Safe for now. You have the truck ready? Yes, but I want proof. I want to talk to Clayton. Hear his voice. Duke smiled. That's not how this works. Then we don't have a deal. Evelyn crossed her arms. I'm not transporting anything until I know my son is alive. Duke's smile faded. You're in no position to negotiate. Neither are you. Evelyn stepped closer. You need this truck. You need me to drive it. Because if you had your own drivers, you wouldn't be here, which means I have something you want. So yes, I am in a position to negotiate. Duke stared at her, calculating. Then he pulled out a phone, dialed, put it on speaker. 3 rings, then a voice, young, scared. Mom! Evelyn's knees almost buckled. Clayton, baby, are you okay? I'm fine. Mom, don't do what they say. Don't. The phone cut off. Duke pocketed it. Satisfied? No, but it'll do. Evelyn forced her voice steady. What am I transporting? None of your business. It's very much my business. If I get stopped by cops, I need to know what I'm carrying. You won't get stopped. We own the route, the checkpoints, everything. You own the cops? Duke didn't answer. Didn't need to. Evelyn felt sick. When do I get Clayton back? When the delivery's complete, El Paso. Address will be sent to your phone. You make the drop, you get your son. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't, but what choice do you have? From the darkness, Garrett's voice cut through. Cold, clear. She has us. Duke spun. His men reached for weapons. Garrett stepped into the headlights, hands empty, no fear on his face. Kane. Hello, Duke. Been a while. Duke's eyes narrowed. You two know each other. We've met. You were in Hale's crew, back when he was still pretending to be legitimate. Vincent said you might show up. Vincent says a lot of things. Most of them lies. Duke pulled his gun, pointed it at Garrett. You should have stayed out of this, old man. Probably, but I've never been good at minding my own business. The other 5 men raised their weapons. All pointed at Garrett. He didn't move. 6 guns, Garrett said. 6 men. You think that's enough? More than enough for one biker. Garrett smiled. No warmth in it. Who said I was alone? Headlights blazed. 4 motorcycles roared to life, surrounding the SUVs, Bones, Hammer, Wrench, Prophet still hidden in the dark rifle trained. Duke's men shifted, nervous now. Drop your weapons, Garrett said, or this ends badly for everyone. Duke laughed. You're outnumbered. Am I Prophet? You got a clear shot? From 300 yards away, Prophet's voice came over the radio. Clean, center mass, say the word. A red dot appeared on Duke's chest, laser sight, steady, unwavering. Duke looked down, saw it. His confidence cracked. This is your last chance, Garrett said. You can walk away. Go back to Vincent. Tell him I'm coming. Or you can die right here, right now. Your choice. Duke's hands shook. Just a little, but enough. Stand down, he said to his men. They hesitated. I said, stand down. Weapons lowered. Not dropped, but lowered. Smart. Garrett stepped closer. Now, you're going to answer some questions, starting with where Clayton Brennan is being held. I don't know. Wrong answer. Garrett nodded to Bones. Bones moved, fast, grabbed one of Duke's men, slammed him against the SUV. The man's gun clattered to the ground. Let's try again, Garrett said. Where is Clayton Brennan? Duke swallowed. El Paso, compound outside the city. That's all I know. Address. I don't have it. Vincent keeps locations compartmentalized. We only know our part. And your part is pickup, transport. We don't ask questions. Garrett studied him, looking for lies. Didn't find any. How many kids in the compound? I don't. Bones tightened his grip. The man he was holding gasped. 20, maybe 25. They rotate, move them every 2 weeks. When's the next move? 2 days. Friday night. That's when the shipment goes south. Garrett nodded. And Vincent, where is he? At the compound. Always. He doesn't leave. Too paranoid. Good. He should be. Garrett stepped back, looked at Evelyn. Get in your truck. Follow us. She didn't argue. Climbed into the cab, started the engine. Garrett turned back to Duke. You're going to deliver a message to Vincent. Tell him Garrett Kane is coming. Tell him I know what he did in Iraq. Tell him I know about Jack Brennan. And tell him that when I find him, I'm going to make him answer for all of it. He'll kill you. He can try. Others have. I'm still here. Garrett walked back to his bike. The Angels fell into formation. 5 bikes, 1 truck. They pulled away, leaving Duke and his men standing in the desert, alive, but beaten. Prophet's voice came over the radio. Clean exit. No pursuit. Copy. Regroup at the safe house. They rode for 30 miles, then pulled off into an abandoned gas station. Old, forgotten. The kind of place that hadn't seen customers since the interstate made it obsolete. Inside they gathered. We've got 48 hours, Garrett said. Maybe less. Vincent knows I'm involved now. He'll move the kids, probably kill Clayton. We need to hit the compound before that happens. We don't have the address, Wrench said. No, but we have something better. Garrett pulled out his phone, showed them a photo. While you were watching, Duke, Prophet was watching the SUVs. Got a clean shot of the plates. Prophet nodded. Already ran them, registered to a shell company, but the company has a property listing. 50 acres outside El Paso. Gated. Private. That's our target. Hammer opened his bag, pulled out a satellite image. I pulled this while we were riding. Compound matches Prophet's description. Main house, 2 outbuildings, high fences, guard towers. How many guards? Bones asked. Unknown, but based on the size, at least 20. Maybe more. So we're outnumbered 4 to 1, Wrench said. Sounds about right? Garrett looked at his brothers. Anyone want to back out? No shame, this is personal for me. Doesn't have to be for you. Silence, then Bones spoke. I'm in. In, Prophet said. In, Hammer said. Wrench didn't say anything, just nodded. Evelyn stepped forward. I'm in too. Garrett looked at her. This woman who'd saved his life 21 years ago, who'd lost her husband to the same man who now held her son, who'd driven trucks across America for 17 years just to keep food on the table and a roof over Clayton's head. Evelyn, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Her voice didn't waver. Clayton is my son. Jack was my husband. This is my fight as much as yours. He wanted to argue, to tell her to stay safe, to let them handle it. But he saw something in her eyes, the same thing he'd seen in the eyes of every soldier who'd ever picked up a rifle, knowing they might not come home. Determination, purpose, the willingness to die for something bigger than survival. Okay, he said, you're in, but you follow my orders, all of you. This isn't a bar fight. This is tactical, military. One mistake and we all die. Understood. They nodded. Garrett spread the satellite image on the hood of a rusted car. Here's how this works. We go in tonight. 3 a.m., guards will be tired, shifts changing. That's our window. Entry point, Prophet asked. North fence. Trees provide cover. Prophet, you're on overwatch. Same as before. High ground, clear sight lines. Anyone raises an alarm, you drop them. Copy. Bones, Hammer. Your breach team. Cut the fence. First through. Clear the immediate area. What about me? Wrench asked. You're with Evelyn. You find Clayton. Get him out. That's priority 1. And you, Evelyn asked. Garrett's face was stone. I'm going after Vincent. The room went quiet. Reap, Wrench said carefully. This is about more than revenge. I know. Vincent needs to stand trial, face justice, not just get executed in the desert. I know, Garrett said again, but if it comes down to him or me, him or Clayton, him or any of those kids, I'm not hesitating. No one argued. They spent the next 4 hours preparing, checking weapons, reviewing maps, eating, resting. At 2 a.m. they suited up. Black clothes, body armor, radios. Evelyn looked out of place. She wore jeans and a jacket. No armor. Just a mother going to get her son. Hammer tried to give her a vest. She refused. Slows me down, she said. Keeps you alive. I've been in war zones without armor. I'll be fine. Hammer looked at Garrett. Garrett shrugged. Her call. They loaded the bikes, rode out into the darkness. The compound was 40 miles away. They covered it in 30 minutes. Pulled off a mile out, killed the engines, moved on foot, silent. 6 people who shouldn't have been able to move silently, but did. Years of practice, years of being men who lived in shadows. They reached the fence, chain link, 12 feet high, razor wire on top. Prophet climbed a rock formation, 300 yards out, perfect vantage point. Set up his rifle, scanned the compound through the scope. I count 18 guards, 6 on patrol, 12 stationary, shift change in 10 minutes. Copy. We wait for the change. Move during transition. They waited, breathing, listening. The desert was quiet. Even the wind had stopped. Then voices, guards talking, laughing. Shift change. Go, Garrett whispered. Bones cut the fence, wire by wire, making a hole big enough to slip through. They entered, one by one, Prophet covering from above. The compound was bigger up close. The main house was 2 stories, Spanish colonial style, white stucco, red tile roof. Looked like something from a magazine. Not a prison for trafficked children. The outbuildings were different, concrete, no windows, industrial. That's where the kids would be. Garrett pointed. Wrench and Evelyn peeled off, heading for the left outbuilding. Bones and Hammer took the right. Garrett went straight. Toward the main house, toward Vincent. He crossed the lawn, stayed low, used the shadows. A guard appeared, walking his route, smoking a cigarette. Garrett waited, let him pass, 3 feet away. Close enough to smell the tobacco. The guard didn't see him, didn't hear him, kept walking. Garrett moved to the house, found a window, unlocked, careless. He slipped inside. The interior was expensive. Marble floors, art on the walls, furniture that cost more than most people made in a year. Vincent had done well for himself. Blood money spent on beauty. Garrett moved through the house, room by room, clearing corners, checking shadows, upstairs, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, an office. The office door was closed. Light showed underneath. Someone was awake. Garrett drew his gun. Glock 19, suppressor attached, quiet, professional. He turned the handle. Slow, quiet. Pushed the door open. Vincent Hale sat behind a desk. Older than Garrett remembered. Gray hair, lines on his face. But the eyes were the same. Cold, calculating. He looked up, saw Garrett, smiled. Hello, Kane. Took you long enough. Garrett stepped inside, closed the door behind him. Vincent. Still going by Garrett, I would have thought you'd pick something more dramatic. Ghost, Reaper, something with punch. Reaper's my road name. You can use it if you want. Vincent leaned back in his chair, relaxed, like they were old friends catching up, not enemies about to kill each other. You know, I always wondered if you'd figure it out. Took you 21 years. I'm disappointed. I expected better from you. Figure what out? That you sold us out in Iraq, that you got Jack killed? I figured that out 20 years ago. Just couldn't prove it. And now I don't need proof, just answers. Vincent poured himself a drink. Whiskey. Expensive. What do you want to know? Why? Money. What else the Army paid shit? I had skills, intelligence, connections. People were willing to pay for information. So I sold it. You sold your brothers. I sold intel. What happened with it wasn't my concern. Garrett's finger tightened on the trigger. Jack Brennan was a good man, a father, a husband. He trusted you. And that was his mistake. Vincent took a sip. Trust gets you killed in war. You should know that. Where's Clayton? The kid building 2, with the others. Don't worry, he's alive, for now. Let him go. Let all of them go. And if I don't, then this ends the hard way. Vincent stood, walked to the window, looked out at the compound. You know what's funny? You think you're the hero, coming to rescue the innocent. But you're not. You're just a man with a gun. Same as me, same as everyone. No, I'm nothing like you. Really, how many people have you killed, Kane 20, 50, 100? You think because you wore a flag on your shoulder it makes you different? It doesn't. We're all killers. Some of us just admit it. Garrett raised his gun, pointed it at Vincent's head. Last chance. Let them go. Vincent turned, looked at the gun, at Garrett, and laughed. You won't shoot me. Not like this. You're too honorable, too righteous. That's always been your weakness. Try me. Vincent pressed a button on his desk. An alarm blared, loud, deafening. Lights flooded the compound. Guards shouted, running, converging. Vincent smiled. Now it gets interesting. Garrett's radio crackled. Wrench's voice, urgent. Reap, we've got company. Lots of it. Status on Clayton? Found him. He's alive. But we're pinned down. Hold position. I'm coming. Garrett looked at Vincent, the man who'd betrayed his brothers, who'd built an empire on suffering. He lowered his gun. This isn't over. No, Vincent said. It's just beginning. Garrett ran, out of the office, down the stairs, into chaos. The compound had come alive, guards everywhere, shots fired, shouting. He ran toward Building 2, where Wrench and Evelyn were pinned, where Clayton was waiting. And somewhere in the darkness, Prophet's rifle sang. 1 shot, 2, 3, guards dropped, but more came, always more. Garrett reached the building, found Wrench behind cover, Evelyn beside him, and between them a young man, 19, dark hair, Jack's face, Clayton. We need to move, Garrett said. Now. They've got us surrounded, Wrench said. Then we break the surround. Bones and Hammer appeared, carrying a girl, blonde, 18, Stella. We got her, Bones said. But there's 20 more kids in there. Garrett looked at the building, at the guards, at his brothers. Impossible odds, but they'd faced impossible before. Get the kids, he said. All of them. We're not leaving anyone behind. And as the bullets flew and the night exploded into violence, 6 people who should have been home safe decided to stand and fight. Because some debts can only be paid in blood, and this one was 21 years overdue. The world had collapsed into gunfire and screaming. Garrett pressed his back against the concrete wall of Building 2. Bullets chipped the corner where his head had been 3 seconds ago. Dust and fragments of stone filled the air like angry insects. 20 kids inside, locked rooms, terror in their eyes. He'd seen it through the window before the shooting started. Wrench was to his left, returning fire, controlled bursts. The old man still had it, 67 years old and steady as a rock. Evelyn crouched beside Clayton, her son, the boy she'd crossed a desert to save. He was zip-tied, hands behind his back, mouth gagged, eyes wide with something between fear and fury. She worked the gag free. Baby, are you hurt? Clayton shook his head, couldn't speak yet, throat raw from hours of screaming that no one heard. Evelyn pulled a knife from her boot, military issue, the kind medics carried for cutting uniforms away from wounds. She sliced through the zip ties. Clayton's hands came free. He rubbed his wrists, red marks, deep. They tied him tight. Mom, he finally said, voice cracking. What are you doing here? What do you think I came for you? You shouldn't have. They'll kill you. They can try. Bones appeared from the right side of the building, dragging Stella. She was limping, left leg, blood on her jeans. Hammer was with them, already working. Tourniquet, pressure. Stop the bleeding first, always. Shrapnel, Hammer said. She'll live, but we need to move. Prophet's voice crackled over the radio, calm, professional, like he was commenting on the weather. Reap, you've got 12 hostiles converging on your position. East side, 30 seconds. Copy. Wrench, hold the west. Bones, you're on the door. We're going in. Bones kicked the door. Once, twice. The lock shattered. The door swung open. Inside was darkness and voices. Young voices. Terrified. Garrett stepped through, gun up, flashlight attached. The beam cut through the black. 20 faces stared back. Kids, teenagers, some younger, 12, 13, all of them filthy, all of them scared. A girl stood in front of the others, maybe 16. Blonde hair matted with dirt. She held a piece of broken pipe like a weapon. Stay back, she said, voice shaking but determined. Easy. Garrett lowered his gun. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to get you out. Bullshit. You're one of them. No, I'm not. He pulled off his vest, showed her his colors. Hell's Angels patch. My name is Garrett Kane. I'm with the Angels. We're getting you out of here. The girl didn't lower the pipe. How do I know you're telling the truth? From behind Garrett, another voice. Young, male. Because he's with my mom. Clayton stepped into the building. Evelyn behind him. The girl's eyes widened. Clayton? Hey, Maya, told you someone would come. Maya lowered the pipe, started crying. I thought we were going to die here. Not tonight. Garrett turned to the others. Listen up. We're leaving. All of you. Right now. You do exactly what I say. No questions. No hesitation. Understood. 20 heads nodded. Good. Single file. Stay low. Stay quiet. My people will guide you out. Outside, the gunfire had intensified. Prophet was working overtime. Every few seconds, another shot. Another guard down. But there were too many. Even Prophet couldn't stop them all. Wrench appeared in her doorway. Reap, we've got a problem. What? Vincent. He's in the main house. Second floor, window facing us, and he's got a rifle. As if on cue, a bullet punched through the wall, 6 inches from Garrett's head, then another, and another. Vincent wasn't shooting to suppress. He was shooting to kill. Get the kids to the north fence, Garrett said. Prophet will cover you. What about you? I'm ending this. Reap. That's an order, Wrench. Get them out. I'll handle Vincent. Wrench hesitated, then nodded. Don't die, you stubborn bastard. Wasn't planning on it. Garrett moved to the door, looked across the compound. The main house was 100 yards away. Open ground, no cover except for a few decorative trees that wouldn't stop a BB gun, let alone a rifle round. Suicide run, he'd made worse. Prophet, I need suppressing fire on the second floor window. Main house. Copy. On your mark. Mark. Prophet's rifle barked. Once, twice, 3 times. The window exploded, glass and wood frame. Garrett ran, legs pumping, heart hammering. The ground seemed to stretch. 100 yards became 1,000. Bullets kicked up dirt around him. From Vincent, from other guards. He didn't stop. 50 yards, 25, 10. He hit the wall of the house, pressed flat, breathing hard, alive. The front door was locked, heavy wood, reinforced. Garrett didn't bother trying. He went around to the side, found a window, same one he'd used to enter before, slipped inside. The house was quiet, too quiet, like it was holding its breath. He moved through the first floor, kitchen, living room, dining room, empty, upstairs, each step careful, testing for creaks. The office door was open now, light spilling out. Vincent's voice called from inside. Come in, Kane. I've been expecting you. Garrett stepped through the doorway, gun raised. Vincent sat behind his desk, same position as before, but now he held a pistol, pointed at the door, pointed at Garrett. Took you longer this time, Vincent said. Had to stop and save 20 kids. You know how it is. Always the hero. Vincent's finger rested on the trigger. You should have stayed down there. Let them go. Disappeared. But you couldn't, because you need to be the good guy, even if it gets you killed. Better than being you. Is it look at us, Kane, both of us in our 60s, both of us killers, both of us alone. What's the difference? I can sleep at night. So can I. Ambien helps. They stared at each other. 2 men, 2 guns, 1 room. Someone was going to die here. The question was who? You're wondering if you can draw faster than I can pull, Vincent said. You're wondering if you're still quick enough, still sharp enough. You're 64 Kane. Your reflexes aren't what they used to be. Neither are yours. True. But I've got my finger on the trigger already. You have to raise, aim, fire. I just have to squeeze. Nah, then why haven't you? Vincent smiled. Because this is more fun. From outside came an explosion. Not a gunshot, something bigger. The building shook. Plaster dust fell from the ceiling. Vincent's smile faded. What was that? Garrett's radio crackled. Bones' voice. Reap, we've got a situation. Wrench found explosives in Building 3, C4. Lots of it. This whole place is rigged to blow. Vincent's face went pale. Garrett kept his gun steady. You rigged your own compound. Insurance, Vincent said. In case things went bad, blow everything. Destroy the evidence. Start over somewhere else. Except you're still in the building. So are you, another crackle. Hammer this time. Reap, the detonator is on a timer. Wrench can see it from here. We've got 3 minutes, maybe less. Vincent stood, gun still pointed at Garrett. We need to leave, both of us, right now. Not until you answer one question. Are you insane? This place is about to explode? One question, why Jack? Why did you target him specifically? Vincent's jaw tightened. I didn't. Liar. The ambush that killed him was too precise. They knew where he'd be, when, how many in his unit. You gave them that information. I gave them patrol routes, that's all. I didn't know Jack would be the one. Bullshit. You knew. You wanted him dead. Why? Silence, just the ticking of a clock on the wall, counting down to nothing. Finally, Vincent spoke. Because he knew. Knew what? That I was selling intel. He figured it out, came to me, said he'd give me one chance to turn myself in, do the right thing. But if I didn't, he'd report me. Garrett's blood went cold. So you killed him. I called in his position, told the insurgents when to hit, where. It was supposed to look like bad luck, fog of war. These things happen. And me, the night I almost died. You were collateral. I didn't know you'd be there. But when I saw you bleeding out, I thought, 2 problems solved. Jack dead, you dead. No one left to ask questions. Except Evelyn saved me. Yeah, she did. Vincent's voice hardened. Which brings us to tonight. You've ruined everything, Kane. This operation took me 15 years to build. Connections, infrastructure, money, and you're going to destroy it in one night. That's the idea. Then we both die here, because I'm not letting you walk out of this room. Garrett's radio crackled again. Wrench, urgent. Reap, 2 minutes. We need to go. Now. Garrett didn't lower his gun, didn't take his eyes off Vincent. You're going to stand trial, he said. Face justice. Answer for what you did. To Jack. To these kids. To everyone. No, I'm not. Vincent's finger tightened on the trigger. I'd rather die than spend my life in a cage. Then you're going to get your wish. They both fired. 2 shots, simultaneous, deafening in the small room. Garrett felt the impact. Left shoulder. Same place as Iraq. Same goddamn place. But he was still standing. Vincent wasn't. He lay on the floor, blood spreading across his expensive shirt. Chest wound, center mass. Garrett walked over, looked down. Vincent's eyes were open. Still alive. Barely. Kane, he whispered. Tell me something. Was it worth it, all this? For what justice? Garrett knelt, his shoulder screaming, blood running down his arm. No, not justice. Atonement. For what? For not saving Jack. For surviving when he didn't. For taking 21 years to finish what I should have done in Iraq. Vincent coughed, blood on his lips. You think this changes anything? There are dozens like me. Hundreds. You can't stop them all. No, but I can stop you. Vincent's eyes closed. His breathing stopped. Garrett stood, swayed. The room spun. His radio, Wrench's voice, frantic now. Reap 60 seconds. Where are you? Garrett stumbled to the door. Down the stairs, each step agony. The front door, locked from inside. He kicked it. Once, twice. It gave. Outside was chaos. The compound lit up like daylight. Fires burning, guards scattered or dead. And running toward the north fence, a line of people. Kids, his brothers. Evelyn. Clayton. Garrett ran, or tried to. His legs didn't want to work right. Blood loss, shock, 30 seconds. He was halfway across the compound, not going to make it. A figure appeared beside him, Bones. The big man grabbed Garrett's good arm, pulled him forward. Move your ass, Reap. They ran together. 2 old men who shouldn't be able to run. But did, 20 seconds. The fence was close. Prophet had cut a bigger hole. Everyone was through except Bones and Garrett. 10 seconds. They hit the fence, squeezed through. Garrett felt the wire catch his jacket. Tear. 5 seconds. They dove behind a rock outcropping. 100 yards from the compound. 3, 2, 1. The world exploded. The compound went up in a fireball, orange and red and white hot. The shockwave hit like a physical force. Garrett felt it in his chest, his bones. Debris rained down, burning pieces of Vincent's empire. And then, silence. Garrett lay on his back, staring up at the sky, stars visible through the smoke. He was alive somehow. Evelyn appeared above him, her face covered in soot. She saw the blood on his shoulder. Damn it, Garrett! She was already working, cutting his jacket away, exposing the wound. You got shot. Yeah, same place as Iraq. I noticed. You have a habit of getting shot in stupid places. It's a gift. She packed the wound, applied pressure. Her hands were steady, professional, like she was back in the desert, back in the war. You're going to be okay, she said, but we need to get you to a hospital. The kids first. The kids are fine. Hammer's checking them now. You're my priority. Garrett looked past her, saw Clayton standing a few feet away. The boy was watching his mother work, watching her save another soldier, just like she'd saved his father, or tried to. Clayton, Garrett said, voice rough. The boy stepped closer. Yeah. Your father, Jack, he was the best man I ever knew. He saved my life more times than I can count. I'm sorry I couldn't save his. Clayton's face was unreadable. Then he knelt down, eye level with Garrett. Vincent told me you got my dad killed. Said you made a bad call. That dad took the hit meant for you. Garrett's heart sank. What else did he tell you? That you were a coward, that you let him die. Evelyn stopped working. Clayton, that's not... I know, Mom. Clayton looked at Garrett. I know because I heard the truth, tonight, in the building. When you came for us, you could have run, could have saved yourself. But you came back, for people you don't even know. I came for you. Your mother saved my life. That makes you family. Dad would have done the same. Wouldn't he come back for people? Yes, he would have. Oh, Clayton nodded. Then I guess I know who you really are. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Someone had called 911. Or the explosions had. Prophet appeared. We need to move. Cops will be here in 5 minutes. Garrett tried to sit up. Failed. Bones and Wrench lifted him, one on each side. Can you ride? Wrench asked. Do I have a choice? Not really. They got him to his bike. Somehow, strapped him on. Evelyn climbed on behind him to keep him upright. The kids were being loaded into a van. Hammer had hotwired it, one of his many talents. Stella sat in the passenger seat, bandaged, pale, but alive. 20 kids in the back, scared, free. The bike started. 5 engines, a symphony of rebellion. They rode away from the burning compound, away from Vincent's body, away from the past, towards something that might be a future. 3 months later, the roadhouse hadn't changed. Same cracked parking lot, same neon sign with 2 letters burned out, same smell of grease and coffee that had been sitting too long. Garrett sat at the counter, left arm in a sling, still healing. The doctors said he'd been lucky. 2 inches to the right, and the bullet would have severed the artery. Lucky, he'd been called worse. The door opened. Evelyn walked in, Clayton behind her. Garrett stood. Slowly, his shoulders still complained about sudden movements. Evelyn, Clayton. Garrett. She smiled, the kind of smile that had survived war and loss and 1,000 miles of empty highway. You're looking better. Still can't lift my arm above my head, but I'm alive. That's what matters. Clayton stepped forward. He looked different, older somehow, like the past 3 months had added years instead of weeks. Mr. Kane, can we talk? Of course. And it's Garrett. They sat at a booth. Evelyn slid in next to her son. Clayton's hands were folded on the table, working up to something. Finally, he spoke. I've been thinking about Dad, about what he did, what you do. Okay. Mom told me everything. About Iraq, about how you and Dad were brothers, about how Vincent betrayed you. Garrett waited. I spent my whole life hating you, blaming you for Dad not coming home. It wasn't fair, but I didn't know how else to feel. You don't owe me an apology, Clayton. I'm not apologizing. I'm thanking you. You saved my life, saved Mom, saved all those kids. That's what Dad would have done. Your father was a better man than me. Maybe, but you're here, and he's not. So I was thinking, maybe you could tell me about him, the things Mom doesn't know, the soldier stuff, the Brotherhood stuff. Garrett looked at Evelyn. She nodded. I'd like that, Garrett said. Your father, he could make anyone laugh, even in the worst situations. I remember this one time. He talked for an hour. Stories, memories, the good parts of war that people never talk about, the moments between the horror, the friendship, the loyalty. Clayton listened, really listened. And for the first time, Garrett saw Jack in the boy's face. Not just the physical resemblance, but the spirit, the heart. When Garrett finished, Clayton wiped his eyes. Thanks, that helps. Knowing he was more than just a name on a headstone. He was more than that. He was a brother, a father, a hero. Not because he died, but because of how he lived. Evelyn squeezed Clayton's hand. Baby, why don't you go order us some food? I need to talk to Garrett for a minute. Clayton nodded, walked to the counter. Evelyn turned to Garrett. He wants to learn to ride. A motorcycle. He asked if you'd teach him. I'd be honored. Garrett, he's my son, my only child. If something happened to him, nothing will happen. I'll teach him right, safe, the way Jack would have wanted. She nodded. I know you will. They sat in comfortable silence. 2 people who'd saved each other's lives, who'd walked through fire together, who'd come out the other side scarred but whole. What are you going to do now? Evelyn asked. Keep riding. Keep running the club. Maybe try to sleep through the night without seeing Vincent's face. In the trial, Vincent's organization had collapsed. But there were arrests, trials. Garrett had testified, would testify again. Justice system's slow, but it's moving. Duke Martinez is cooperating. Gave them names, locations, the whole network. Good. What about you? Evelyn looked out the window, at her truck in the parking lot, her life, her road. I'm thinking of getting off the road, maybe settle somewhere. Be there for Clayton. He's going to college next year, first in the family. Jack would be proud. Yeah, he would. She turned back to Garrett. You know, all these years I thought I was alone, raising Clayton, working, surviving. But I wasn't. Was I? You were out there carrying that dog tag, remembering. I never forgot. Either of you. Why didn't you reach out after Iraq? I didn't know how. Didn't know what to say. Sorry your husband died and I lived felt wrong. It wasn't your fault, Garrett. It was Vincent's. I know. Took me 21 years. But I know now. Clayton came back with 3 coffees, set them down, sat next to his mother. So, he said, when can we start the motorcycle lessons? Garrett smiled. How about next weekend I'll bring an extra bike. We'll start in a parking lot. Learn the basics. Cool. The door opened again. Wrench walked in, followed by Bones Prophet and Hammer, the old angels, brothers in leather and road dust. Wrench saw Garrett, walked over. Reap, heard you were here. Wrench, boys, this is Evelyn and Clayton. Evelyn, these are the men who helped save your son. Evelyn stood, shook each of their hands. Thank you, all of you. I don't know how to repay. No repayment needed, ma'am, Wrench said. We take care of family, and your family now. How's Stella? Clayton asked. Good, real good. She's back in school, thinking about becoming a counselor, help other kids who've been through trauma. That's great. The 6 of them stood there. An unlikely group, old bikers, a trucker, a kid, connected by violence, held together by something stronger. Hammer spoke, rare for him. You know what today is? They shook their heads. 3 months since the raid, 20 kids rescued, all of them home now, safe. That's worth remembering. Prophet raised his coffee cup. To the rescued. The others joined, even Clayton. To the rescued. They drank. Coffee instead of whiskey, morning instead of night. But the ritual was the same. Brotherhood, family, the bonds that don't break. Garrett looked around the table, at these people who'd become his reason to keep going, to keep fighting. Evelyn, who'd saved his life and never asked for thanks. Clayton, Jack's son, a reminder that good men leave good legacies. His brothers, who'd ridden into hell beside him without hesitation. This was what he'd been fighting for. Not revenge, not justice. This, connection, purpose. The knowledge that some debts are paid not with blood or money, but with presence, with showing up, with being there when it matters. The door opened one more time. A young woman walked in, blonde, 18, walking without a limp now. Stella. Wrench's face lit up. Stella, girl, what are you doing here? Grandpa, you said you'd be home an hour ago. Grandma's worried. Tell her I got distracted. Stella saw the group, recognized Garrett. Clayton. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. You're not interrupting, Garrett said. Pull up a chair. She did, sat between Wrench and Clayton. How are you? Clayton asked. Good, better every day. She looked at Garrett. I never got to say thank you for coming for us, for risking your life. You don't need to thank me. Yeah, I do. You didn't know me, didn't owe me anything, but you came anyway. That's what we do, Garrett said simply. Stella nodded. Well, thank you anyway. They talked for another hour. Stories, laughter. The kind of conversation that happens when people who've survived something terrible choose to focus on the fact that they survived. Eventually, the group broke up. Wrench and Stella left. Bones Prophet and Hammer headed out. Back to the clubhouse. Back to their lives. Garrett, Evelyn, and Clayton remain. We should go too, Evelyn said. Long drive back to Oklahoma. Drive safe, Clayton stood, extended his hand. Next weekend, motorcycle lessons. Garrett shook it. I'll be there. They left. Evelyn's truck pulling out of the parking lot, disappearing down the highway. Garrett sat alone, finished his coffee, looked out the window at his bike, his phone buzzed. Text from Wrench. Club meeting tonight, 7 p.m. Important business. Garrett typed back. I'll be there. He stood, dropped cash on the counter, walked outside. The desert stretched out forever. Endless sky, endless road. He straddled his bike, started the engine. That beautiful Harley rumble that never got old. And as he rode away from the roadhouse toward the clubhouse, towards whatever came next, he thought about Jack, about the promise he'd made 21 years ago at a funeral. To look after Evelyn and Clayton if they ever needed it. He'd kept that promise. Finally. Some debts take a lifetime to pay, but they're worth it. Every mile, every scar, every moment. Because in the end, we're not measured by how we die. We're measured by who we protect, who we save, who we refuse to abandon. And Garrett Kane had learned something in 64 years of living. The best debts are the ones you pay forward, to the next generation, to the people who come after, to Clayton who'd learned to ride a motorcycle and carry his father's legacy, to Stella who'd help other survivors find their way back, to all the kids they had saved who'd grow up and have their own stories, their own battles, their own moments of choosing between running and fighting. And maybe, just maybe, they'd choose to fight, not with guns or fists, but with courage, with compassion, with a stubborn refusal to let evil win. Garrett opened the throttle. The speedometer climbed. 70, 80, 90. The wind tried to rip him off the bike. He leaned into it. And somewhere, in the desert, in the past, in the place where soldiers who don't come home go, Jack Brennan smiled. His brother had kept the promise. His son was safe. His wife was free. And the man who'd betrayed them all had faced justice. Not in a courtroom, but in the only court that matters. The one where you stand before your victims and answer for what you've done. Vincent Hale had answered. And the debt was paid. The highway unspooled, endless, beautiful, free. Garrett rode into the sunset, alone but not lonely, because he carried them with him. All of them. Jack, Lily, the brothers who'd fallen, the ones who still rode. They were his armor, his strength, his reason. And as long as he could ride, as long as he could fight, as long as he could protect the people who needed protecting, he'd keep going, mile after mile, debt after debt, until the road finally ended. And even then, he suspected, there'd be one more ride, one more promise to keep, one more person to save, because that's what brothers do. That's what family does. That's what it means to be human. We show up, we fight, we protect, and we never, ever abandon the people we love. No matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs, we pay the debt, always. The sun set over New Mexico, red and orange and gold. A new day was coming, and Garrett Kane would be there to meet it, on his bike, with his brothers, with his purpose, ready for whatever came next, because some men are born to ride. Some are born to fight, and some, like Garrett, are born to do both, until the very end.